Obviously, we've had a great turnout here this morning. We're getting close to the end of our allotted period of time. I know there's a great deal of interest. In fact, I think we've got a little over 30 requests to speak. I would ask that we try to keep those remarks as brief as possible so that we can move through this. We're going to go a little over time as it is, but if you could keep your comments brief. I also want to just take a moment. I think we have a number of staff members for the respective state representatives here. If you all might raise your hand so that people can see where you're at in case they have additional questions that they want to ask. Yeah, why don't you guys go ahead and stand up so we can see you. Okay, so you can see there's a number of staff members throughout here, so if you have some additional questions after the hearing, please take advantage of that. With that, if you could try to keep your remarks to about 1 minute, we can move through this. We will start with Bill Lyons, representing Mapes Ranch. Well, welcome.
Well, thank you, and good morning, Chairman Gray and members of the California Assembly Select Committee and on rail and members of the Senate Select Committee. On passenger rail, my name is Bill Lyons, and I'm a farmer and rancher, business owner in Stanislaus County, Merced County, and San Joaquin County. Our families resided in the valley and operated our farming and business operations for over 90 years. So both myself and my family are extremely interested and invested in seeing our community prosper. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. You know, and I hope the audience realizes how fortunate we are to have these elected leaders showing this type of leadership, especially on a bipartisan level. You know, I want to keep my comments brief. As we all know, passenger rail plays an important role in reducing highway and airport congestion. Is that my minute already? Okay. Anyway, I'm supportive of expansion, and I think for our community, it'll be great for jobs, the economy, and it's something we really need. I appreciate your support. Anything I can do or my family can do, we're on board. So thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Tim Sobrante, representing Congressman Eric Swalwell.
Good morning. My name is Tim Sobrante. I'm the Deputy Chief of Staff for Congressman Eric Swalwell. I want to thank you for holding this hearing and just express on behalf of the Congressman his top transportation priority, which is connecting BART to ACE. And I know there was some conversation about that earlier. It's something that I think we all recognize would be a game changer for all of our residents, both here in the Central Valley and residents in the Tri-Valley and the Bay Area, to be able to free up capacity on 580 for goods movement, to be able to create that critical transportation link where people could get off of ACE, which is a fantastic service, step across the platform, and then connect to other parts of the Bay Area. So whatever our office can do to assist in your efforts individually, collectively, I'll be meeting with representatives of Congressman Denham's staff later today. This is a bipartisan issue, and it's something I think we can all work together that'll have a collective impact that'll really improve mobility for all of our residents. So just let us know how we can be helpful.
Thank you. Councilmember McCabe from the City of Livingston.
Thank you for your time today. City of Livingston just wanted to give its enthusiastic support for the ACE train. We get anecdotal evidence from our citizens all the time that if there's a station in Livingston, they will be using it. We will see more opportunities for our youth and more opportunities for economic growth. We are really excited at this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Riley, City of Livermore.
Good afternoon, Chair Gray and members, distinguished members of the Senate and Assembly. I'll make my presentation short, but I wanted to read into the record a letter from the mayor of Livermore, John Marchand, about the interregional connection between ACE and BART. On behalf of the Tri-Valley, which in this case is Dublin, Pleasanton, and Livermore, I would like to thank you for your support of interregional rail connections by supporting the ACE Forward project. Altamont Commuter Express provides a key rail link from the San Joaquin Valley to the Tri-Valley and further beyond into the Bay Area. Transportation improvements in the I-580 Altamont corridor, like completing the Tri-Valley BART extension to Livermore and connecting BART to ACE, as described in the Bay Area's Regional Transit Plan from 2007, will yield economic and environmental benefits not only for the San Joaquin Valley and the Tri-Valley, but the greater Bay Area region. These transportation improvements will provide better access to the San Joaquin Valley and Bay Area destinations, encourage economic revitalization, interconnect an educated workforce to jobs, decrease freeway congestion, and improve air quality, all of which promotes a healthy quality of life. I just have another paragraph. As you know, the Tri-Valley is considered to be a hub of technology and innovation, serving as an economic engine for the entire Bay Area region and the San Joaquin Valley. In fact, the Tri-Valley is growing at a faster rate than the Bay Area as a whole, which is one reason why the I-580 corridor is one of the most congested freeways in the Bay Area. It is projected that the number of households in the Tri-Valley will grow by 31% between 2010 and 2040, and commute volumes will continue to increase from the Tri-Valley to San Francisco, Santa Clara, and San Mateo counties. We know this commute pattern is also true from the San Joaquin Valley into the Bay Area, which makes the need for a reliable and efficient interregional rail link to the Tri-Valley and Bay Area jobs centers even more critical. This is why the Tri-Valley region wants to partner with you and strongly support your efforts to implement the ACE Forward project. Like you, we want to ensure that this crucial interregional rail link between ACE and the Tri-Valley BART to Livermore extension becomes a reality. Thank you for your support. And just as a quick context, the City of Livermore is working right now with BART to extend BART to Isabel Avenue, which was mentioned earlier. And it is our goal, although it's not the plan yet, is to get it out to Greenville with a direct connection to BART. And that is our goal, and we need advocacy, we need help to do that. But right now we have the money, and we're working through and getting the plans done to get it at least to Isabel, which is partway there.
Do you have a timeline, even just as a goal in mind,
So
for Greenville?
So I can tell you the timeline to get it to Isabel, it's about a 4.8 mile link, is about 7 to 9 years to get it done and be riding on and have it finished. And we don't have a time frame to get it out to Greenville because we haven't secured approvals for it, we haven't secured money, but we really are hearing from our residents in Livermore and the Tri-Valley as a whole that they want to get it out to Greenville and have a direct link to BART. So we need help to do that.
And one more question, sorry. We had heard it's about $3.5 billion to get to Greenville. How much would that be reduced by once you're to Isabel?
Our project to Isabel is $1.2 billion. I don't know if the exact math works where you minus that from the $3.5 billion, but it might be around that. So a little less than $3 billion might be the next step to get to Greenville.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, if we're going to ask John Bramble with the City of Merced, and while John approaches, if we could have Mary Ann Payne and Sean Scully as well come up in the on-deck spot.
Good morning. Thank you for the hearing, and we appreciate the fact that you're as big a supporter of the rail as you are. I want to focus just quickly on ACE. I believe in the theory that the state's economy is only as strong as its weakest link. And because of that, I truly believe that the ACE train is going to be a catalyst not only for our economic opportunities, but for a reliable transportation system between Merced and the Bay Area. So I'm going to condense here because I'm already too long. But I really believe that our college students from Merced College, as well as our university students, will be able to remain within Merced to commute to the Bay Area for the jobs that they are being educated to take. In addition to that, and this is a moment of pride, secondarily, we believe that the investment that the city, the university, and the Small Business Development Center has made in a new venture lab, that it will allow for those venture capitalists to come to our community and to invest in those ideas and inventions that are going to come out of this lab that hopefully you all visit on October 15th. I could say more, but I can tell you that we really believe that this is going to be a great arm for our economic prosperity and to changing our economic opportunities within our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Ann Payne.
Good afternoon, or morning, afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here representing Alameda County Supervisor Scott Haggerty from District 1, your neighbor in Alameda County. And I just want to piggyback on to Mayor Marchand from Livermore's remarks, as well as Congressman Swalwell's office, and say we're fully supporting the ACE Forward program, and also very supportive of closing the 10-mile gap connecting the BART system with the ACE line in the Tri-Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. And Sean Scully.
Good afternoon, Assembly members, Senator. My name is Sean Scully. I'm the city manager with the city of Gustine. Gustine Mayor Dennis Brazil was regrettably unable to attend today, but wanted me to attend and testify on his behalf for his support of the project. Additional transportation alternatives not only give commuters more choice, but perhaps as importantly, provide an important economic development tool for the valley. At this time, we need to tap into any potential efficiency we can to become more competitive from an economic development perspective, and we believe ACE Train can help with that. Thank you.
Okay, we've got COG representatives from San Joaquin, Fresno, Merced, and Stanislaus.
Good afternoon. I'm Rosa Park with the Stanislaus Council of Governments. I also want to thank you. You heard the testimonial from our board chair, Vito Chiesa. I just want to say that we are strong supporters of both services and along improving the services along the San Joaquin corridor. Thank you.
Morning, Tony Bourne, Fresno Council of Governments. Just here on behalf of the drive this morning, want to come up and just really just give say some thank yous. First to you folks for taking the leadership and having the wisdom and the foresight to recognize the benefits of improving passenger rail in the valley and what it can do for us. 1779 was the start of it. We had to navigate that through the process. You did a great job with that. We got that done, and we had to form the actual committee itself, had to form the JPA. All the supervisors were here, Chair Pedroza, Supervisor Pedrea, Supervisor Rogers, all of those folks have displayed tremendous commitment to this endeavor. At once a month, they take a Friday afternoon and drive somewhere up and down the valley to do business. We continue to move forward. I will say this, as divided as we may have been in the valley on high-speed rail, we were completely united on the San Joaquin, formation of the San Joaquin, so I'm very proud of that. And then lastly, I want to thank Stacy and Dan and their team, because we wouldn't be where we're at today if they weren't involved with this. I was fortunate enough to be on the selection panel, and we made them, chose them as the operating entity, and they've validated our selection. Very proud of that. So kudos, and we believe the future is very bright for passenger rail in the valley. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to coming up to Modesto, the north part of the valley, to support these projects as well. It's one of the great things about serving as a legislator for the San Joaquin Valley is seeing all the counties support one another, and we look forward to when these rail services can go down to Fresno and beyond into Bakersfield. So thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Ron Taylor. I'm president of Merced College, and I'm really happy to be here, and I want to thank you for your service and for your optimism and for your practical orientation. It was wonderful to hear all the comments earlier. It helps me in my optimism. These are very complex problems, and they demand solutions, as we've been hearing from everybody. I'm here because, as a college person, a lot of times people don't quite realize that part of the mission of the community colleges is actually economic development. So I try to stay in touch with the economic development of our region. And our way as a college of serving that is workforce development. But in order to do that, I need to know what's going on. And I'm also here as a passionate Californian. And I favor public investment. I think you've heard some things today about that. And I think I'm glad to hear that people are stepping forward for that. I also want to mention on a personal note that early in my career, my first teaching job was in Japan, and I used the regional transit system in Japan as well as the high-speed rail in Japan. And I can tell you, the future is there. The future is in multimodal transport. I've been privileged to participate in the work on planning a multimodal station in Merced, and it's just obvious. Our lives are becoming multimodal, and this is something we all need to think about and support. And I'm happy to hear that the cost actually for the expansions you're talking about looks to me relatively modest. So, thank you.
Thank you, President. We have Nate Knopf with the RTD out of Stockton.
Thank you for the chance to speak today and for the hearing down here. I'm a transit route planner in Stockton. I'm a lifelong user of rail. I've actually ridden rail before Amtrak existed. I've drove a Southern Pacific trip to Seattle many years ago. I've used the services every year since then, essentially. I do want to say that it's important ACE comes to downtown Modesto, which has been said many times, and downtown's today's trip as an example is I have to leave at 12:15 to catch a 142 train within the city of Modesto to take a 33-minute trip to Stockton. And this morning, unfortunately, due to freight congestion, our train was late and missed our bus coming in. So it would have been, the average person would probably not do it again and drive their car. So, but I'm pretty persistent. But I just want you to know it's very important down the road we get schedule reliability so train and bus schedules can be coordinated, because that's the only way you'll really win people over to trains and transit in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Isaiah Rumayor with the UC Merced student in the I Will Ride group, I think.
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Isaiah, and I am a student from UC Merced. I'm here with my friends, colleagues for I Will Ride, and I Will Ride is in support of all alternative transportation. As a student, it's really hard to commute to job workforce. I would personally like a job in Sacramento and in the Bay Area, but since I live in the Central Valley, I can't commute that often because of class and everything. This would be a great right-of-way to not only provide jobs, internships, but also to provide commuters for students. We could have kids going to Sacramento and living there. Sorry, excuse me, I'm a little sick. Living there and commuting to UC Merced. And that is one of my dreams one day. I know we're not going to benefit it from right now, but in the future, hopefully my kids or my other colleagues will be benefiting commuting for train or Amtrak or whatever it is. Thank you guys very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. If we could have Lacey Kirikou as well as from UC Merced, as well as Janelle Myers from University of the Pacific.
Good afternoon. My name is Lacey Kirikou. I'm representing the University of California, Merced. And UC Merced was placed in the San Joaquin Valley to increase the college-going rates in our region and to provide students the opportunity to study at a world-class research institution here in the Valley. The campus has long been a supporter of expanded rail service in the San Joaquin Valley. We enroll over 6,000 students from throughout California. Nearly a third of those are from the Bay Area. And we're in support of easing travel for students between UC Merced and their family home and increasing rail connections between the San Joaquin Valley and the rest of the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Why don't we go ahead, any additional folks who have put in a card, just go ahead and start to come up and make your comments. Oh, I forgot. I just skipped Janelle. Janelle, why don't you go ahead first, and then...
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Janelle Myers, and on behalf of University of the Pacific, we'd like to add a voice in support of improved and expanded San Joaquin and ACE passenger rail service. With campuses in Stockton, Sacramento, and San Francisco, the university is deeply and increasingly connected to the Northern California mega region. Improved transportation options will help our students, faculty, and staff access campus and community resources in the cities where they live, work, and study, and do so in ways that are safer, more time efficient, and greener. Increased connectivity will facilitate not just Pacific's growth, but will also fuel economic development throughout San Joaquin and Stanislaus counties. Our researchers believe passenger rail improvements also promise stronger overall ridership. We know that successful regional rail systems need high-frequency service to be convenient. Our service is good now, but expansion will mean more trains, better schedules, and ultimately more riders. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Brad Barker. I live here in Modesto. This overwhelming love fest where we all seem to agree completely on this makes you wonder why it's taking so long. I mean, if there's a more bipartisan issue that we all agree on, then why aren't we doing it? Why isn't it here already? What's taking so long? My comment, though, I want to specifically talk about funding. And I think we need to do a much better job of grabbing that AB 32 money. California's cap and trade law was specifically designed for projects like this that are going to take cars off the highway, that are going to help with our air quality here in this valley. All of you mentioned air quality in your opening remarks. We live in one of the worst air pollution basins in the United States, not just California, in the whole United States. It cost us millions of dollars in health care costs. That AB 32 money is designed specifically for projects like this, to get cars off the highway, to use mass transit, public transportation that are going to help the air quality in this valley. AB 32 money. We don't need another regressive sales tax to fund this. We need AB 32 money. Make the polluters pay here where we're polluted. Thank you.
Brad, I'll respond to that. I appreciate your comments. The reason it's taking so long is because of funding, and you've clearly provided a possible scenario. The good news is we have a formalized San Joaquin Valley caucus now. Every Republican, every Democrat from San Joaquin County down to Kern County has agreed to be part of this effort. One of our priorities is to make sure that the funds that all of us who choose to call the Valley our home are paying into various state programs, including cap and trade, for example, now that fuels are under the cap, et cetera. So now that we're paying for the cap and trade program, even at the gas pump, we want to make sure that revenue is used in the areas of greatest needs, both economically and in terms of air quality. And science has shown we have the worst air quality in the entire nation here in the San Joaquin Valley, and we also have the highest rates of unemployment. And so we're working together to make sure that those dollars are directed toward the valley instead of areas solely outside of the valley. And the ACE train and the San Joaquin Rail Commission are the perfect projects that can be used for. So we're working on it.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Used to be morning. My name is Ben Duran. I'm a resident of Merced County, currently just a retired resident. In my past life, I was an educator and also worked with the Great Valley Center. Senator Canella referenced the publication that was put out by the Great Valley Center. If you don't have a copy, I would certainly recommend that you get one. We also did another piece of work while I was there with the University of the Pacific that also referenced the ACE project. And so there's some really good data. I'm not going to get into it with you, but I do want to thank the folks from ACE for their recommendation to start working more with the underrepresented communities. I would urge you folks to do the same thing. I've noticed that all of the speakers today, except for perhaps Brett, who just came before me, were affiliated with someone. And I know that the hearing is for the public, but to be honest with you, we probably all need to do a better job of reaching out to communities that haven't been penetrated yet, because ultimately, if we're going to be asking them for help, if there is the pursuit of a tax or whatever, what my experience has been, as I've talked to more of those communities about this thing, about this ACE, they really, frankly, aren't even aware of it, and when they are, they become great supporters. So I would encourage both both our elected representatives, both at Sacramento and in the local areas, and certainly the ACE folks, to do some significant outreach in those areas. Thank you so much for having this hearing today.
Thank you.
Okay, may I?
Senator Galgiani?
Ben, they're not here today because they're in their cars on their way to work on the highway, so they couldn't make it.
Thank you very much. As a senior Valley resident, former planning commissioner, former city councilman, and a vivid cyclist, I strongly support the ACE rail system here in the Valley. I've been here in the Valley for many years, and what I've seen is the Valley, as far as the transportation, has become twice as big but only half as nice. And I think this is an area where it's obvious that the need is there, the benefits are there, the justification there. We just need the money. We just need to make a few small connections. What are we waiting for? Let's get with it and get it done. Thank you.
Hi there. My name is Michael Kuziak. I'm actually not from the Central Valley. I'm from Castro Valley, which is right on the 580 corridor. And if I could have, I would have taken an ACE train here today. I see the consequences all the time of the lack of investment in the Altamont Pass. In my neighborhood, I'm right in front of a BART station. I use BART every day because of the domino effect of people coming in over the Altamont Pass, trying to get parking at the different BART stations and not getting parking. They come further down the line. They've come into my neighborhood. We actually had to get restricted parking in our neighborhood. There's clearly an issue there where we need to make this investment in the interconnectivity. As a Bay Area resident, we live in this huge region. I'd love to come out here if there was a job opportunity. I think we need to be thinking both ways, not just the Central Valley coming to the Bay Area. We are a huge region. I lived in Germany. You move among regions all the time from one city to another. It's just not a big deal. And my last point that really frustrates me and many Bay Area residents is how disconnected our transit agencies are. You, as state lawmakers, can change that. We need to have them consolidated, working together, planning routes together. Why is there Muni? Why is there BART? Why is there ACE? Why is there Caltrain? You guys can really work on that and make it better for both the Central Valley and Castro Valley.
I'll try to give you a little bit of hope. Assemblywoman Catherine Baker represents your larger area, and one of her #1 priorities this year is to expand parking facilities for BART. As the leader of our caucus, I hear her talk about it every day. So it's a current topic of conversation within our transportation negotiations, and we're working on it.
That's great to hear. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for being here. And first and foremost, my name is Esperanza Vielma, and I am the executive director of Cafe Coop, a cooperative in downtown Stockton, of which I'm also a resident. And so we help startup businesses and nonprofits, and we currently use the ACE train system to bring in folks from the Bay Area to see what we have to offer in San Joaquin County and Stockton specifically, and then we also have them transport back through the ACE train. I also serve as the Environmental Justice Advisory Group for the San Joaquin Valley Air District as the chairperson, and so I also want to offer support in that way in terms of reaching out to the communities that you spoke of, which would encompass the environmental justice communities, and so I want to offer our support in that way. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Barnbaum, and I founded the grassroots organization Ride Downtown 916 back in April of 2013. Our group is very Sacramento proud, and proud to be here today. We want to help in any way possible to expand the San Joaquin and ACE services. There is not service early enough to Sacramento to get to meetings early in the morning. I know from just making reservations myself to go from downtown Sacramento to the Staples Center twice this season to see the Kings play the Clippers. The earliest return arrival back at the Capitol stop is at 10 o'clock in the morning in the bus connection at Stockton. More frequent service will be made available to Lodi and Stockton beginning Monday with the grand opening of the Blue Line to Cosumnes River College. So I'd like to invite all of you and your colleagues to that celebration this Sunday and Monday. The last point we wanted to make was about funding. Seems to be a common theme here. We made this comment at the Senate Select Committee and wanted you to take some thought with you when you leave here today. Many of you know and you're familiar in Sacramento with Proposition 98, with the state budget process that requires constitutional guaranteed funding to go to schools and education. Well, we think that that's missing for all forms of transportation. And we think that one of the ways that we could resolve the funding crisis to our roads, bridges, highways, rail systems, transit systems, airports, and whatever with transportation is a constitutional guarantee funding for transportation. I would like you to consider that during your special session in Sacramento. Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Frank McHugh, and I'm from Riverbank, California. I've lived out here 25 years and commuted to the San Francisco Bay Area where I lived before. And I think if the funding might be able to be helped if people would realize what it really costs to drive your car, not just the gas, but the maintenance, the deferred maintenance, the tires, the wear and tear, and then the human value, the wear and tear on your body for driving an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's absolutely terrible. And lastly, if you figure the Amtrak, which I take a lot, my daughter's down at USC, it's the snack car is nice. If they, some way in the future when they're building more ACE trains, if they could have a little snack or adult beverage being able to serve on the train.
Rail to Vine?
I'm sorry?
Rail to Vine?
There you go. And lastly, I'm glad everybody's going to talk together because the Caltrain out of San Jose gets into San Francisco 1 minute after the Amtrak bus leaves to go to Emeryville and the last train down here. It's just, it could be better coordinated. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. I'm speaking for myself, who has a business and all my personal life in Santa Clara. So I found out when I moved here that I was going to have to, anywhere from 2 to 3 days a week, deal with Altamont, 580, and 680 to get there. I never knew when I moved here I wasn't going to be able to get on some form of heavy rail and just go, because my whole life, from the time I started college 100 years ago, involved getting on a train to go somewhere. When I met Stacy a couple years ago, my first word to her, when are we going to get ACE here? When they first started, we lobbied in Santa Clara for ACE. We lucked out. We got 2 stops in Santa Clara, one that benefited our businesses, one that benefited our downtown and our residents, and never looked back. For our businesses, the economic boon was huge because by then you couldn't really afford, if you were the average working person, to buy a place and live there. You were moving into the Livermore Valley. I encourage you to support this. I encourage everyone to support it. The economics are enormous, both for the community when you start getting the transit-orientated development, for the individual commuter who it's not just the stress and the car and the wear and tear on the car, but it's the lost wages that you make while you're sitting in that car driving it that you can be making while you're riding the ACE train on your laptop or whatever your form of communication is.
Good afternoon. My name is David Ripperda. I work for the San Joaquin Council of Governments. I'm appearing on behalf of our Executive Director, Andrew Chesui, who wishes he could have been here today, but he had a conflict, unfortunately. Just want to say we're highly supportive of both the ACE service and the San Joaquin GAPA and their attempts to expand their service to our communities. We feel that ACE and the San Joaquin service provide a vital service to our communities, and that investing in rail stations in our downtown will be a vital part in implementing our sustainable community strategy and attracting jobs and housing to our downtowns. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chairman Gray, for convening this hearing today. Senator, my name is Mark Kyle. I represent Operating Engineers Local Union Number 3. We're the largest building and construction trades local in North America with 24,000 members in Northern California, over a third of whom live up and down the Central Valley. We stand in full support of both of these expansion projects for a lot of the reasons already spoken here about earlier today. But mainly, in top of the list is that it'll provide good middle-class jobs for our members and for other union members here in Northern California. We also, because we drive up and down the valley, it will mean less cars on the road, better air, a stimulated economy, and because rail is much more energy efficient than buses or cars, it means decreasing the dependency on fossil fuel, which means it's a big step towards fighting global climate change, which is right around the corner despite folks thinking it's further down the road. So let us know what we can do to help you and this committee in moving this agenda forward. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name's Tim Smith. I'm state chairman of the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, Teamsters Rail Conference. I brought several people with me from my organization, including my vice chairman, Sean Morgan, and several members of our auxiliary. Everybody has a stake in this. Everybody has an interest in the transportation sector in this great state of California of ours. I worked long and hard to get high-speed rail up and running with Senator Galgiani. So we've had many events, as did many others in this room, including Brother Kyle, who we just spoke. We would like to say we support all of the projects that have been talked about here. We feel that the interconnectivity is very, very important to making this a first-class transportation center throughout the state of California when it interconnects with high-speed rail. We just thank you for the opportunity to be here. We offer the professionals that build, maintain, support, and operate any of the rail entities within the state of California. And if there's anything we can do to help you out, we're at your disposal. Thank you very much.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Pat Patrick. I'm the president and CEO of the Lodi Chamber of Commerce, and I want to say thank you for your support, Senator, and your leadership. It's a great fight. Keep it up. We need it. We've heard lots about a strong demand here from all directions. I'm excited to hear that those trains leaving from Merced, we've always said in Lodi, if we could get the trains running in the right direction at the right time, wow, stand back. We could get a lot of our hundreds of commuters that go to Sacramento every day off the rail. It would gentrify an old neighborhood. I'm quite confident of that because it's a walkable right to the train station, and it would really, really help. But here's the big idea, the dream big idea, right? And let's run that 49er train in reverse, and let's call it a wine train. Let's do a pilot program one weekend and bring those people who your opening comment was, you know, we're often looked upon as a disadvantaged area. Let's put one of our best foots forward. There's a demand for wine and good cheese. So we'll partner with Fiscalini and Hillmar Cheese on this.
Yes.
And we'll have 90 wineries promote in San Jose to get on that train in that pilot weekend and bring them up to Lodi, where at the train station you're literally one block away from 20 brands, 13 tasting rooms, and a lot of one-of-the-kind restaurants. So what was it, wine to rail?
Rail to vine or rail to wine? We'll have to come up with whatever works.
We'll work on that.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that comment. I love that idea. Certainly we have a lot of challenges here, but we have a lot to be proud of, and we'll work towards that.
Hello, my name is David Garcia. I am the Director of Community Development at 10 Space, which is a real estate development company focusing exclusively on infill development just up the road in Stockton. So I'm here today as a member of the development community to express my strong support for expanded rail service in the Central Valley. In addition to the great environmental benefits that we've heard about today, expanded rail service really is a strong opportunity for transit-oriented development in our Central Valley cities. As you know, places like Stockton, Modesto, Turlock, Merced, we have a lot of beautiful historic neighborhoods that could truly benefit from expanded rail service and to realize their true infill potential. So in downtown Stockton, we're very fortunate to have proximity to ACE and San Joaquin service, and that's part of the reason why we've had success in Stockton. And we'd like to see those services extended to our other Central Valley neighbors. So again, I would just like to express our strong support and thank you for having this hearing today. Thank you.
Thank you for coming to Modesto. I'm Wayne Bridegroom. I've been pastor at Central Baptist Church in West Modesto for over 42 years now. The thing that is most important to me that I believe the ACE train can do and is doing has to do with this whole issue of stress, which kills people. As a pastor, I'm very concerned about family life. And if you're, as a bivocational pastor friend of mine leaves at 3:15 in the morning to get up to his job on Friday, it takes him more than 4 hours to get home. What does that do for he and his wife and his kids? Okay, so I think ACE Train is just really, really positive in terms of family life. The other thing is I grew up milking cows on a dairy between Hillmar and Denair. You see Half Dome? I could see that with the naked eye as a kid. In the late 50s. I had heard of asthma, but I didn't know anyone with asthma, and so just the whole environmental impact, just, you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Debbie Avila. I'm a board member of the Mujeres Latinas. I grew up in this area my entire life, and it's so amazing to see you guys coming together to do something that's so important for our valley. I'm Spanish speaking, and I just wanted to say thank you and offer my services. One thing I failed to see is I didn't see a lot of people here who maybe didn't speak Spanish, or a lot of the growing population that's growing in this area. In church, I used to interpret where the people who were speaking, somebody was sitting in the audience with a headset, and I would interpret simultaneously into Spanish. I'd love to offer my services and be of any help possible. Thank you for your time, and thank you for coming together for something that is so important to our valley.
Thank you for that offer. And if you would grab one of our if one of our staff members would make sure you get your contact information, we'll take you up on that.
Most definitely. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ron Jones. I'm the president of the Train Riders Association of California, and TRAC is grateful for you group to come here as chairman and members and take the time to listen to the people of this area. TRAC has been an active voice for passenger rail for 3 decades and has over 500 members statewide. We hope we find the ideas that we present today fresh and exciting and get people on the rail, like the people we've been talking about, students, the elderly. I know one thing's for sure. If Ms. Williams and the pastor were out there promoting passenger rail, I think we'd all be riding rail today. And those are the stories I think we all want to hear. We have 4 brief points I want to go over. First of all, we at the Altamont Corridor believe serving by a modern regional rail service is the key. This is what ACE has previously been developing as the Altamont Corridor Rail Project. We think that earlier work was great and want the Altamont Corridor improved consistent with the breadth of its vision. Rather than as one big project, we see the Altamont Corridor can be improved incrementally and to fundable chunks. Each phase will increase speeds and help increase ridership greatly. We think the heavy concentration of jobs in the South Bay makes it appropriate for the San Joaquin to enter the Bay Area through the ACE route. Combining the resources of both systems will enable far more ACE, more improvements. Our approach makes possible many miles of passenger-only track, thereby greatly improving reliability. And finally, we have a proposal for the San Joaquin. We propose converting the 2 Sacramento-Bakersfield round trips to a Bay Area trips. We propose to replace those 2 trips with diesel multi-unit, making shuttle trips between Stockton and Sacramento as ridership demands. With DMUs, the cost of filling in the schedules for both the Bay Area and Sacramento will be comparatively low. We think this is the best way to grow ridership for the short term. We prepared a proposal in detail, which we worked very hard on, and we present to staff. And if there are any questions, our administrative director, Mike Setti, and myself are available. Thank you very much for this opportunity. We truly appreciate it.
And thank you to you. I've seen you at multiple rail hearings, and I just wanted to bring up a point. You talk about the diesel multiple units from Sacramento into the Bay Area. Japan and potentially some other countries have come up with technology that allow for train sets that can be used on diesel non-electric lines and electric lines as well, and they switch connectivity so that you can have a single train that just transfers over from a non-electrified line to an electrified line. So in fact, when Prop 1A passed in 2008, that technology wasn't even available yet. So I'm hopeful that that's something that all of rail will be looking at, because I think that we can better take advantage of the Caltrain system that will be electrified in the next few years. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kenneth Ryan. I'm representing the seniors of the North, since I came down from Mount Shasta for this. It's 300 miles from Sacramento to Oregon. It's a 14-county area, 45,000 square miles, so to speak, very rural, but even in the rural areas we have some pretty decent transit available. Seniors ride transit, seniors ride your Amtrak buses, and we're here because we wish to be supportive and work with the system to improve the bus service. As Dan said in his remarks, 45% of the ridership on these trains, and to some extent a lot of the Capital Corridor, comes from buses. Obviously, most of that is from the south, but we have the potential to bring more people in from the north once we get the coordination together, and possibly even bring people to the ACE service through the bus service. So we stand to be willing to help on this, and we are very glad that you're moving forward, and we hope that the funding will encourage more thinking about the feeder services that may make this system work. Thank you.
Peter Warner. I'm a member of the Southern California Train Travel Meetup Group, which is a subsidiary organization of trainweb.com. Couple of things that could improve the San Joaquin route. We need second platforms in Fresno to eliminate the holdout rule situation. The second platform needs to be reinstated in Merced, and here there is room to put a second track and a second platform at this station, and try to have all the simultaneous meets where you have double track and double platform. Then you don't have any opposing train delays. Secondly, when they can get a third train to Sacramento from Bakersfield that leaves earlier, the California Zephyr leaves Sacramento at 11:10 a.m. If you could eliminate the need for passengers to transfer to a throughway bus to get from one train to the other by simply shuffling the schedules around so that train 701 leaves Bakersfield first and goes up into Sacramento and connects to the Zephyr, it would make the baggage transferring for checked baggage a lot easier, because sometimes baggage tends to get lost or left behind on throughway buses, and it's been a very big problem down in the Los Angeles area.
Good afternoon. My name is Roland Lebrun. I'm from San Jose. I'm a transit advocate. I come from London. I really wish I could have taken the train this morning instead of having to drive to Gilroy to avoid the smoke in the Livermore area. A couple of points. I'd like to offer you a poor man's BART connection, because I think to me the solution lies in Fremont, because the BART station is in one place, AC and Capital Corridor in a different place, and the killer is that the railroad tracks actually go under BART. So it seems to me if we built a multimodal station there, maybe for $100 million, I think we'd get the job done, and you'd get very close to Silicon Valley. Your best connection to Caltrain is actually Redwood City, believe it or not. And you got to rethink the Dumbarton corridor, actually build a tunnel there. We know how to do this for $500 million, the entire thing. The killer is, as you come out of the tunnel, you're at a station there. That's a Facebook station in Menlo Park. From there, you can bike to Google. I'll take a bus. I'll be very brief. In terms of metrics, I recommend that you use PMT, passenger miles traveled. You will be a lot more effective than just looking at ridership, because you're going to find that every single ACE passenger is actually worth 16 baht passengers in terms of funding. And in closing, I would like you to look, review CPUC section 1850-32, which basically says high-speed rail have got exclusive right to develop and clear whatever, anything above 125 miles an hour. I would like you to make a very clear line in the sand, and that says that anything that is below 125 miles an hour is for people who are actually interested in providing, reasonable passenger rail. Thank you.
Good afternoon. James Vineyard, Atwater City Council. Atwater City Council is fully behind the extension down to Merced, and we're looking forward to possibly being one of your stops. We do have a transit station right there on Atwater Boulevard, perfectly expandable, and is also very close to the new Atwater Merced Expressway, which leads to Merced College. And we can provide a lot of things to both the people, students coming down from the north, as well as people going in and out from the north and the south. Thank you very much.
My name is Sandra De Alquaz, born in California, raised in the Bay Area, and living here in the Valley for the last 30 years or so. And so I've seen California's lack of public transportation exemplified through what didn't happen with BART when we said go over the Altamont, and they said, oh no, nobody will ever be there, to where we are today. We need to be practical, and so in listening to this whole discussion, I lived in Chicago for a while. I used public transportation every single day. I left my car in California because California, unfortunately, cannot get through its head that we need public transportation. And we've all heard, we've all said, we're in support of it, the money, okay? Because too many of us are tied to our car because of the convenience. So if you make things more convenient, people will use it. ACE demonstrates that. And today, we don't have the ability to build enough roads. So what are you going to do? I've heard all kinds of discussions here today. If you get people to the Bay Area or opposite conveniently, you can do it with the money that you have now in cap and trade. By forgetting this $5 billion connection to BART, it's not going to happen. It's 10 years, all this other stuff. Use rail to get there somehow, to make the connection. Figure it out. I mean, your proposal said if you did everything in the world you wanted to do, how many dollars would you spend? Okay? About $1 billion or something like that. Okay? I've just looked at this stuff today. I'm a business person and a concerned citizen. Okay? I don't study it all the time like you all do. But, I mean, it just seems to me so logical. I mean, if you let the people here connect to the Bay Area, and ACE has connected us to Silicon Valley, you make your trains work in the middle of the day somehow, okay? There's got to be a way to do that, not cost a lot more money. You have your problem solved. So go do it. Stop talking about it. Don't look at proposals that are 10 years down the road and $5 billion, because it's not going to happen in time to help all of us who are stuck on the Altamont because we can't get to San Francisco conveniently. Okay? My daughter, she comes here from Chicago and she says, what the hell, why don't we still have the connection? I take her to BART, but we sit so long from that 10-mile stretch. I mean, are we crazy that we can't figure how to connect 10 miles without spending $5 billion? We're nuts. And that's all I got to say.
I apologize. I was supposed to be following on Senator Galgiani's remarks earlier. about the technology called electro-diesel multiple units. They call EDMUs. They've been used very successfully in France since 2004. You can look at something called the AGC bye-bye, see how that works. But the reason I'm addressing you is that we actually suggested this in the Caltrain electrification EIR, and we were rejected basically because high-speed rail wants to electrify Caltrain regardless of what happens. And we really need help from you, making these people go back and reconsider. We want this option. We're going to need this during electrification to be able to continue running a service, whether the wires are there or not. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comments. With that, I think we've concluded. Well, we've got one more public comment period.
I just want to pick up on what the other lady. You
go ahead and say your name.
My name is Bruce. I just want to pick up on what the other lady was saying about how inconvenient it is around here to get places and how everybody sits on 580 or whatever other highway they choose to go on. Keep it simple, and there's another S, but I'm not going to say that. The old KISS method. Sometimes I like to go to a lot of plays with my wife, and we find it easier to jump on an airplane, fly to Chicago, fly to New York, get on a train, go into downtown, and stay there, and then come back here, as opposed to driving into San Francisco, because it's a pain in the rear end. And it would be so convenient. We would love to be able to just take a train and enjoy ourselves. And just to drive 45 minutes from here over to BART is also a pain. Thank you. Keep it simple.
Thank you for your comments. That will then conclude the public comment period. I'd like to, first of all, thank all the members of the public, local elected officials who took the time to be here today. I think the big takeaway is there's incredible support for moving forward with these projects right here in this community and also in our neighboring communities throughout the state. I'd like specifically to thank Senator Galgiani, Senator Cannella, both members of the Senate Rail Committee for joining us. They are staunch and important advocates for this work, and there is a lot going on in Sacramento with a special session on transportation discussions, and hopefully in the very near term we'll be able to make some progress on some of these issues working together, and we do work together very well. I'd also like to acknowledge and thank Assemblymember Olson, and I believe we had a representative from Assemblymember Gomez's office as a member as well here today. I'd like to thank all of our speakers for their informative presentations, the stakeholders, agency staff, organizations who were here. It was informative, and it also steered an important discussion about making these incredibly important investments. I think as we wrap up, we should consider what the next steps are, certainly for the Select Committee on Rail, and one of the near-term steps I'd like to propose is engaging with the San Joaquin Valley Caucus, of which everybody here today is a member of that organization. I'm going to propose that we put together a formal resolution in support of the ACE and the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority that we could put before the state legislature. I think that would be an important first step in advancing some of the work we're trying to advance. Secondly, we want to get a letter together by that same group in support of increasing the cap-and-trade transit and intercity rail capital program to 20% of the ongoing cap-and-trade funds so that we can access those very important resources that we've discussed today to make these investments. I will certainly work with Senator Galgiani and the others throughout the San Joaquin Valley to make sure that we can get that moving, and that can be an important part of these discussions we're having in Sacramento this summer. With that, thank you all for being here. I'm going to offer Senator Galgiani an opportunity to make some closing remarks, and then we'll wrap up.
Thank you. This has been very, very valuable today, and I think that the most important direction that we are actually taking is the fact that we're looking at how we can take advantage of existing infrastructure and connect that with other infrastructure and build new track in some places so that we can have dedicated lines and take advantage of the infrastructure that's there. One of the things that we didn't touch on that I hope to touch on in the near future is the fact that while we have the $6.3 billion investment of high-speed rail in the Central Valley, when the federal government was partnering with the authority and looking at that, they required that we had independent utility for that segment, and that's why it was to start in Madera rather than a place like Merced or Modesto that we thought made much more sense. The good thing in hindsight about that is the fact that that 150-mile infrastructure will be able to connect into the San Joaquin lines. And the belief that at that time was that if we didn't have more money in future years because of the economic downturn at that time, that investment would still be utilized because we would be able to connect it with the San Joaquins. I think it's worth looking at, how do we take that investment once it's done and connect it into the line. And I'm very, very pleased to hear today that the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority is looking at the dedicated line from Stockton up to Sacramento. So we could, in the very near future, foresee utilizing that infrastructure from Bakersfield all the way to Sacramento, just as we look at Bakersfield to the San Jose and San Francisco via ACE and Caltrain. And thank you, Assemblymember Gray, for your leadership on this and for bringing everyone together. And you had a very, very thoughtful group today, and I think it was of tremendous value.
Thank you. And with that, the Select Committee on Rails adjourned. Thank you.